didn't start recording in the beginning and I just remembered.
So we'll get a good feel for that as we move forward. But
Okay, sounds like
Fingers
you're
crossed.
taking the right steps.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I won't say that it doesn't concern me. But I mean, that's where I'm at. The other-
Wind's blowing when we get down there.
Yeah. The other piece
Good,
that,
so.
the other piece that I think is kind of fascinating, I included this email for you guys from Dan Mullen, our executive director through the MACD. He is a real big lobbyist, and he was hired because of his lobbying ability.
It's all part of this finance.
Yeah, it's right,
Yeah,
you're
it's on
touching it
there.
right now, flip that whole thing over.
Yeah.
And he is a big reason that we have he is the reason we have that 40,000 operational funding right now, which is about 3 million
From the state.
allocated from the state,
From the state.
correct. And he's been working really hard at lobbying for districts to increase that funding. A lot of the states that surround us give their conservation districts a significant amount more funding than what Michigan does. Their appropriation hovers around $13 million rather than 3. Some of them are even considered state employees, so they have those benefits as well. So he's been working really hard in that realm, and it sounds like this email sounded super positive about being able to appropriate funding for districts. And they're looking, if we're able to get that 13 million, which they're using that leverage of having those surrounding states have that funding, and using the whole Pure Michigan campaign and all of that jazz as part of their campaign. We could look at $173,000 per district, which would be amazing. Now, I don't know how hopeful this really is, but I thought this email sounded incredibly hopeful. So I thought I'd share it. I wanted you guys to be aware. In this email, he's asking that if we meet with any legislators, that we inform them so they can be part of those meetings, so we can streamline the message. So whether that be via Zoom or with us in the meeting, if they can make it, that was what he'd like to make sure we're doing as a whole.
Okay.
So
Do you have any other legislators other than Nerman and Victory?
Brett Slag, I think was his name.
Oh.
Slag, Sloth, sorry, am I mispronouncing it? There's one, he's a big groundwater advocate from what I understand.
okay.
I'd say we'll set, I mean, them 3 are,
Isn't that Mark Eisen a little bit in other towns, you know?
sometimes just trying to think,
And he is,
they move the lines.
he is the. He's over here.
Why don't we
Mayor
look into
Peter
that?
Moore.
Why don't we look into that?
Well, and I
Who
can,
are-
I can address this a little bit more too when we get to board updates, from the MACD standpoint.
Mm,
And we can answer some additional questions. I don't want to derail the finance
yeah,
presentation.
Is it, if we get the 120,000 every year, is it required that we use that?
I don't know. I mean, it's never been a question whether we would use it.
We asked for it. It's one of the kind of things we asked for. So
They
we're
don't
gonna
like you
use the
to
best
accumulate any
liabilities to-
wealth, so they make you want to, they don't let you roll it
I think
over.
that it would change how we work with the county. Again, all that's kind of been just in the back of my head. I don't know what that would look like, and if they would want to invest in us differently if we were getting operational funding.
I definitely think the county will take another look at
Yes.
their 120 to us. When
Yes.
we start getting state funding, I mean, it was
Yeah.
always pending state
175.
funding to this point, so, definitely, I would think that
To
they.
some extent, but I do think that we provide a significant amount of services to the county, and I think that, as I see us kind of as a contractor, we do deserve, we're fulfilling a strategic plan. I made sure that we're aligning with what their ag goals are and their environmental goals are, and we align directly with them, so we're providing a service that no other department provides, and
Well,
I
and
think
honestly,
there's
as,
good to that.
as the fastest growing county in Michigan, there's definitely room for more growth. In every single department, there's room for more growth. In Raindrop Rescue, there's a lot of room for growth in, I was just listening to a report on NPR. They just found HWA farther south than, or farther north
Yes, they
rather than
did.
they thought.
Mhm.
So like those programs could use more, I'm not concerned about us finding
Ways to use it.
productive ways to spend money.
So we'll see what happens if that's the case. I've got to form relationships with these people, so that's my next step is forming relationships and trying to
You-
solidify their leadership in the county.
I have a quick question about this particular appropriations budget. Any of these items that are listed, so like HWA County or
Mhm.
MACC Trash Free Waters that don't have an appropriations amount listed next to them, is that because they're assumed to be under, like, all the MACC are all under the same thing, or is that
No, so-
because those are programs that are not actively running?
I printed off my worksheet for you.
Okay.
And I carry over funds from, like, so my worksheet carries over things from one year to the next. So if I delete a column or a row, then everything gets all funky. And so this is not, the one that I would put like in our annual report. I would just then make a whole copy and paste, not copy and paste, change it. So you're seeing old grants, is what you're seeing.
With the no balance behind them, so to
Correct.
speak. Yep,
Mhm.
gotcha.
These don't have anything in them because they're not open anymore. They're no longer grants that we hold.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Are any of these ones that we, like, that are still in existence that we should be keeping on our radar to pursue again? Or
Absolutely.
are these things like it was a single project and it's done and it's over?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things I printed out for you guys was our staff has a group where we do a grant exploration touch base like every other month. And we take a look at all of the grants that are out there. Oh, you can pass this around if you don't have it. And this was just our most recent agenda. And we take a look at all the grants out there, whether or not they fit our mission and our capacity and the type of a project intensity that it would be. And then we make decisions on what we're gonna apply for. So coming out of this meeting, then picked up 3 grants we're applying for. We have 2 on our radar that were coming up. So anytime we see grant opportunities, do send them our way because we do discuss them.
Okay.
But we get lots of grant things passing our eyes. Not everyone's right for us. We may still apply for another WHAM grant. That RFP is not out. So those type of things we may still see, but, yes, they're still on our radar. This is just a note agenda, so nothing
Well,
exciting.
and
but-
I would, if it's possible, I would love to see this included in future board packets,
Okay.
partly because
All right,
I hesitate sometimes I don't want to duplicate effort, right? So I don't know what grants you guys are already looking at if something pops up for me. This will help me know, like, this is definitely already on their radar. I don't have to bother anybody sending along information,
right.
versus this may not be.
And I don't mind
set
getting to things twice. We get things like 3 or 4 times from all kinds of places. Jackson's and stuff, we are on all the lists, and we'll get things from other districts, and I don't mind if you're not sure. We actually had a new one that we saw. It was a consumer's energy grant that was kind of a fun one to explore, so. Yeah, I mean, we're always rating. And the thing that we're always look at is, the capacity and intermission.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I wrote one down there that, they're based out of Chicago, but they do restoration work in the Great Lakes area.
okay.
It's one I'd been kind of hanging on to, but just planning ahead, if there's something that you like crockery, okay? That was kind of my idea, was to try to go for some of these more private that's a nonprofit. There's also the Dow Corporation has a whole bunch of them. There's lots of them. I guess it's just a matter of like, who can you get you know what I'm saying, like get a connection to. So
Yeah.
Lots and lots actually, but like the Koch brothers have a conservation grant that I found. So anyway, just
Yeah, send
there's
them our
like
way. I mean, we'll definitely have
That's really
discussions about them. It is
sure
helpful.
thing. Yeah, definitely.
If you had with all the grants, you would know, come on.
you know, seeing it.
It was in the finance packet, wasn't
It was, wasn't it? I know I seen it, I just ain't seen it. Right. It's so.
And I would
that's
say,
going on.
I would say too, like,
No. Yeah, you can't remember what that was. Like, oh,
the other thing I think that
No,
would be
wasn't
helpful
Wasn't it this
is
one?
that there's,
no,
That's all the
Oh,
grants
that's
are
it.
back.
that's not much of that.
On your agenda.
Yeah.
All right.
then if there's specific ones that stick out, I can write them. Or any of us can ask questions
Mhm.
too at the board meeting to say, explain why we decided not to go after this one. Cause that
Mhm.
can just help us in our broader decision making, I think,
Okay.
too, to say.
Okay.
You know, if we keep seeing the same type of thing be a
Mm-hmm.
capacity issue, but it is mission aligned, then say. Should we start thinking about building capacity in this area? What would it
Mhm.
take to make that happen and make that comfortable for,
Yeah.
you know, the financial perspective or whatever the case may be?
Yeah, I will include those. That's no problem.
Awesome.
We're talking about, we're doing these kind of every other month-ish. Doing these update meetings, so you won't have them, they won't particularly be in every packet. Whenever we do it, I'll add it in.
That would be great.
The Grand Rapids Community Foundation also, you have, like a communication specialist, and I see that that's part-time.
Mhm.
That would be a great place to go if you wanted to fund a position.
Mm.
For something, right, a communications, and then you could say, well, I wanna fund this for 3 years, and then it gives you 3 years to plan, right, how you're gonna finance it afterwards, so.
Interesting.
I have some connections there, just bear that one in mind, like if you wanted to really go. I know you have a part-time thing here, but if you wanted to go for broke, we should try them,
Mhm.
so.
I think,
Yeah.
with
Good
that,
idea.
we're jumping, but with that communication specialist, I think that, if things, feel a little less crazy on my end, we'll find ourselves building, income and capacity where this could be a full-time position and we'd be able to fund it. So I'm hoping that the marketing and the visibility will only increase that piece. So, but yeah, I think it's a good idea. I didn't mean to jump. But we do have to vote on appropriation of budget.
I'll make a motion to accept the new budget.
I was gonna offer an amendment, same one I offered last year. I think it would be great if we moved marketing up to $2,500.
Marketing, what?
There's a marketing line item, it's at $12.50. And the reason why,
Is it on the, am I looking at the right
No,
sheet?
flip it
I'm
over.
sorry, yeah, it's on,
Sorry, I'm just trying to find where.
there's lots of lines and numbers. Speaking of which, I just did a finance project,
Mhm.
not my strength. But yeah, if marketing was 2,500, and the reason why I say that is, when we were talking about the annual meeting last year,
Mhm.
Lexi had brought up that. I can't remember what the brochure was for, whether it was for RCPP, but there was a brochure want, right? And if we had a little extra money in that marketing budget, you'd be able to pay to have something like a brochure or something printed.
Mhm.
And have a little cushion for maybe something pops out at you that you're like, wow, I wish I could do that.
Mhm,
That's my recommendation, is to pull that up to 2,500.
mhm.
So what do you think about that, Rivka?
I mean, I think. We have the wiggle room from the appropriations for that. You know,
The only
size
reason
of
I
a
don't, I
change,
mean, I don't
but-
mind, but the only reason that I hadn't made it much more was because most of our marketing comes from our grants. So like when I'm marketing for RCVP, everything comes out of RCVP, or if I'm marketing for, but I mean, we can and see where we go with it. I mean, it's not, that's why it's lower though. It's not that I don't do it. It's just that
Including. other
it doesn't, it's not district money that it's out of, it's
Mhm.
out of grants.
I do remember that conversation though, because that was like.
But I
a
did increase
specific
it, because I
meeting.
think I had it at 250.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
I
It
do
was
too, it
increased.
was.
Well, I guess, I remember talking about it when we put the number down there, and I'm trying to throw back on memory, I think we did talk about, we upped it, but we did talk about it like the banquet or the annual meeting
Yeah,
kind of gets a, gets a budgeted number. I mean, when we start
Yeah.
talking about the annual meeting, we're gonna spend X on it.
yeah.
If we're gonna do a raindrop barrel, we're gonna do, we're gonna throw
Well,
X amount of money at it, so.
I will add this in, Because we're looking at adding this communication specialist role, and obviously that's still pending to be voted on. But something that we have not done up to this point is any kind of like Facebook ads, right? So
We do. I do
utilizing,
boosts. I don't know about what an ad is, though, if that's different.
okay, well, it is, it's
Same.
not, they are both are different types of ads. Do you know, is that being funded right now by,
Comes out of that budget.
yeah,
Or a
Um,
grant, if it's a grant, like when we did the Crockery Speaks boost, it'll come out of the Crockery Same grant.
and there are probably, so a boost is like a very basic level of ad, but we could for sure. With having that staff person available to do that increase, so. I wouldn't have a problem putting it at 2,500. I mean, to me, I feel like the worst thing that can happen is we have. Funds left over at the end of the year and then we can
Roll it over.
be like,
Yeah.
well, you know.
Let me just add that up.
Where's it coming out of?
Well, I mean, according to this, we
It'll
have a
come out of-
$37,000 surplus.
Yeah, it'll come out of, so it'll come out of operation costs, so I will increase that. So when you look at we flip it back over and you're looking at the appropriation budget, that very first one out of expenses, 281 operations, you see it has that number.
Yeah.
That's where it's gonna come out of. So I'm just gonna add that up so I can like.
So, okay, so Callie is making an amendment to. Increase the marketing budget to 2,500. I support that amendment, so I guess then we have to vote on the amendment, correct, Matt? Am I
believe
doing
that's
this
so.
right?
Yes. Amendment to the motion.
Yeah.
So all those in favor, we all understand what we're voting for
Yeah.
on here.
We're voting to
Yeah,
raise
okay.
the marketing budget
Yeah,
line
I
item to
understand.
2,500. Okay,
Doug, we good? So on the amended part of the motion, all those in favor of upping to 2,500. Say aye.
all right.
Aye.
Right.
Opposed? That amended to the motion passes.
Okay.
And now the motion will read the new number.
That's the.
So,
I have to calculate.
yep.
But-
So we all understand that it's gonna be $2,500 out of one side or $1,250.
Yeah.
Difference from one side to the other. So is there a motion? So that's your original motion to,
Well, I think Doug made the motion to
Accept it,
approve,
like, Callie made an amendment.
and then we
So,
accepted the
back to
amendment.
Doug's motion to. Is that still-
Approve the
approve the
appropriation.
appropriation?
Approve it with the amendment.
Is there a second to that?
I second.
Keeping up, Ben?
Yep.
All those in favor of all that,
Aye.
Aye.
opposed?
All right, so I know there's the suggested motion on the finance. Committee report about the communications specialist, but I would. Kind of rather we tend making a motion on that until we do the HR committee report, because. I know both committees looked at that position, but you kind of,
It's kind of hard to do these, it's a little
Yeah.
bit
It
different.
is on the agenda to do first, though.
Yep.
Is that gonna throw us into a tailspin?
The marketing committee or the,
Well, the new job.
well, that's not, it's
level.
under, it's listed under human resources on the agenda itself.
communications.
On the
specialist.
report,
Is it in our
it's
finance packet, though?
the finance committee report, it is a suggested motion,
Right
but
here.
if nobody makes the suggested motion, then. I think we're okay to just proceed, right?
And in your HR packet is the work agreement and the position description, so all the HR pieces. In
I
your,
think it'd be better if we voted on this first. Because then if it goes, falls in, we already approved it.
well, I can't just go over those.
Approves it now, isn't it?
Tell you what,
So,
hang on. We can, let's make them. Would someone entertain a motion to? For the new position,
Part-time
Mhm.
communication.
and we will open it up to discussion. And then we can jump over and look at your numbers,
Uh,
and then we solve Robert's rule of order of what that's in this order.
Okay.
We can discuss the numbers that are in the other packet. Is that clear with is that good?
Okay,
Let's do it that way, and then it's all above.
I'll make a motion. Create a part-time position for communication specialist.
Is there
all right,
support?
I second.
Is there any discussion?
Yeah,
Take
okay.
it away.
I can only speak for the HR committee. So on the HR committee report, Callie has made a really good point that we need to have like more complete committee reports. And so we went through in the HR committee, we made sure to make everything a suggested motion and include our reasoning for why the HR committee is making that recommendation. So this is the second suggested motion on the HR committee report, which is to create a position of communication specialist as a part-time staff role and start hiring process. Our primary reasoning here was as Lexi is shifting around her roles and responsibilities. And kind of moving into more of the raindrop rescue piece, a lot of the things that she was already having under her kind of umbrella of responsibility need to be covered, and we've covered that successfully, like as a team and as a board, while she's on maternity leave, but that's not really like a ongoing long-term solution to that. And you know, we're also seeing continued growth. We have the perspective, as we discussed, with some of the legislative action committee work that's being done by the MACD to even continue to grow. And so having this as a dedicated role that's a specific person would be really useful moving forward.
I don't mean to interrupt you, sorry. Is there anybody who got a problem with the position and us hiring it? Before we go into, you explaining this. I'm asking
that
what
was
time,
really-
I'm
that was
asking what
really-
time it is, don't tell me how the watch works unless somebody needs to know how the watch works. So is there anybody who has a question about the position?
No question about the position. Question is, I don't remember right exactly what we mean. We talked about growth. And we talked about, Megan made it kind of clear to us, she was capacitated. So I guess my question is, why are we looking for more advertising and more growth if our office is full, our facilities are full?
So
Let's kind of
can answer
Lex-
that question for you.
Lexi is gonna be working partly from home.
Yep, I know.
And only part-time.
Yeah.
So this is not really creating new tasks, it's assigning existing tasks that are already happening to a new person.
Yeah,
So
I get
that's
that.
why it's not really changing the capacity from a staff or otherwise standpoint.
It's covering bases that she was covering is no longer covered.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Exactly, and it has the ability to grow into a full-time position to accommodate continued growth over time.
That's my question.
So it right now is covering things that are, just need to be covered. In the future, hopefully it'll be a full-time position that can support the continued trajectory of.
It's cheaper
Right.
having the two part-time people, Lexi
Yeah.
and this other person, because you're not paying benefits.
And also,
get
you know,
two more
Lexi is a
hours, too.
valued member of the team who has a lot of internal knowledge that we don't want to lose just because she needs a part-time role. So it really benefits both her as an individual as well as us as an organization to keep her.
What we had going is we have two part-time people now who are going to assist
Cover
instead
her
of
bases.
One
the
full-time person.
one.
But she's
Yeah.
gonna have one more to rely on, and it's gonna be the new person.
Right. Does that
That's-
answer your question?
It technically ain't to accommodate growth, it's to just accommodate and make the workload more even.
I get that, but I hear the growth desire, and I guess that's raising my antenna a little.
It'll take a little while to get that moving on.
It's just trying to have the foresight of saying, you know, this is the direction we're headed, ongoing. Growth is a part of our strategic plan, it's a part of our long-term goals. This allows us to meet that need in a more fluid way. Versus hitting a wall a year from now or 3 years from now, where suddenly we have all these needs and we don't have. The internal capacity, the organizational knowledge, we have to start from the ground up. This kind of allows that transition to happen more organically and smoothly on an as needed basis.
Megan, are you comfortable with that?
I need the help. Not having Lexi has been tough. Although my staff is super supportive whenever I ask for their help. Do I want to grow? not particularly. I think we're at a great capacity right now. That doesn't mean that if an opportunity were to arise and it fit us right, I'd take a look at it. But what I do know is that, this is a good space where we're at right now. I mean, I've got a lot of staff, I've got a lot of balls in the air. You know, if we were to grow more, we would definitely have to consider a few different options. Right now, I kind of do 3 positions, you know, I'm a program manager, I'm a financial manager, and I'm an HR manager. And that has hit, that I'm at my limit.
Mhm.
So
I
if,
sense that.
yeah, if we were to grow and to want to do more programs and to want to hire more people, that type of thing, then we'd have to take a look at how you take that off my plate.
This person's gonna kind of take care of a lot of our visibility.
Mhm.
And outreach and the little things that aren't.
But-
Geez,
All the
Yeah.
stuff that Lexi's been doing for a long
The
time.
more visible you get, the more growth
Yeah.
comes.
But hopefully we'll have,
We balance.
we'll have really cool growth or really, you know, interesting growth,
Specialized growth.
specialized growth, and we can
Yeah.
then become a, you know, maybe these jobs are better jobs than per se these jobs. Again, I think it just puts us in a better light to be able to maybe be more choosy about keeping our staff busy.
And I think the programs that we have are fantastic, and I think that right now, the goal is just to continue to, those will kind of grow and change, you know, to kind of, to support those programs and to, most of these grants that we write are grants that are continuing to support the programs that already exist. And I want to make sure that that's the visibility that's getting out to the community, not particularly about, you know, and you know, to grow our tree sale, you know, into that type of thing. When I think that's the kind of growth, I'm thinking more in that, the visibility of what we already have, than particularly that we're starting a whole new program. You know, I'm not there. We don't have the space, but.
So, is there any more debate or questions on?
I was gonna add that, aside from some of the obvious ones like the native tree sale and things like that, being able to get us out in the community to talk about the food and safety program, and especially the meat program. The staff do a really good job of like, however that it is that they're marketing, whether it's word of mouth, they do a great job. But there could always be more marketing on that end, and then more people would learn about those programs and be able to participate. So there's a lot that can be done that a person with 20 hours or however, I thought I saw 24, but
It's 25 to 30, depending.
yeah, there's a lot that can be done there. And then you can incorporate more, like, for example, the crockery speaks of that. You know, maybe someone could write a press release about that. Right, and get that out to the newspapers so that the newspapers can attend. There's just a lot of more kind of top-down type things that could be done to kind of streamline how we're communicating. And those things take a lot of time, and I don't think Lexi, I think she's kind of torn between doing administrative things and doing communication things, so. Or programmatic things, so, I definitely think it's a great, I think it's a great idea. Really good one.
Are we ready to vote? Any more questions? All those in favor of the motion, do we need the motion read back, or we all know what we're doing?
One quick question, where's the money for this coming from?
It's in our budget.
It is in our budget, so we're taking this out of, right,
Turn that page back over. Yep,
Right.
It's already in there.
okay. And
You'll
it's
see I
coming out
have-
of our,
Communication specialist for the rest of the year, project manager, which is half of Lexi's salary, and then what we've already paid Lexi for her prior to.
Okay,
to this.
that's
So it's
all.
all in here. Yep,
Yes.
that's part of
Actually,
That was a
it
good
wasn't
question,
that
because I
terrible much
had
more money.
that on.
No,
I mean, it
I
wasn't.
had that same question
It
when
was
we
like
discussed it in
hovering around
HR.
like $1,000.
Well, and then you could parse it out, I mean, you know, to grants too, in the
Well,
future.
Lexi's half and half
All right, are
now.
we ready to vote?
Yes,
Yeah.
All those in favor of hiring a communications person, say aye.
Right.
Opposed?
right.
I guess it passed.
All right, good deal. This is the lecture board agreement.
Oh, I got the new employee. All right,
Not yet.
did I miss that one?
No, it's coming. No, there's nothing to sign for
Okay.
that. It's just, you're letting me post it now.
All right, you want me to start working to
Yeah.
the rest of the HR committee? Is that what we're
Yep,
doing?
we're on HR, so we make her happen.
Okay,
Marketing.
so we already did the second thing, so we're on to the first thing. One of the things the HR committee is currently responsible for is those, marketing related actions. And kind of providing guidance to the communications, specialist when that person is hired. And to the staff in general from a marketing standpoint. And Kelly had brought up the question of having a marketing committee. We really talked a lot about kind of the pros and cons of this and ended up, the recommendation of the HR committee is that we continue to house it under the HR committee for now. Partly because right now there are not any outstanding marketing related needs that are not being met. So there's not specific decisions or strategic planning or anything like that that needs to imminently happen. All of our events are getting filled up. Megan was sharing when we were just waiting for the meeting that we're already ahead of where we were at last year for our tree sales. At this time, so right now it seems like things are working without that additional push. And we did see the necessity of the communication specialist and that it would probably be easier to onboard this person while still having marketing under HR because HR is the person interviewing and hiring that communication specialist and providing that initial onboarding for them. And then it would be easier to create new committees during the kind of when we establish committees at the beginning of the year, kind of in connection with those new committee assignments. So our recommendation is that we do come back to the conversation in January at the beginning of the new year to evaluate once we have the communication specialists in place. Get their recommendation if they feel that they need additional board direction and support. And what that would look like for them so that we can organize a marketing committee in the way that would make the most sense possible. That person would be on board at that point for a period of time. Hopefully we can hire someone soon. And then we'd be able to come back to that in January and say, is now the right time to add another committee? So that's the recommendation.
So what is your motion?
The suggested motion is that
No, what is your motion?
the
No
mo-
suggestions, just what is your?
the
motion?
motion is that the board continues to execute marketing related actions as part of the existing HR committee and review a separate marketing committee in January of 2024.
Is there a second?
I disagree. I would like to discuss.
Okay, what you got?
I do think that there are some things that are going really well, but, I don't think that. My suggestion would be to put together a marketing strategic plan of sorts, whereby we kind of lay out like what would we like to see out of this person in 1 year and 3 years and so on and so forth. And I don't think that. Given some of the unknowns that are still floating around out there, I don't think delaying on that is necessarily the wisest thing. Last year I had a really good article or like an op-ed in the Grand Haven Tribune and like those are the types of things that board members and staff members could pull together to work on. We don't necessarily have to have a staff person to do those things. And I think that waiting until someone gets hired. Another thing too is when I look at the position that person's going to be half-time. That's going to really limit their ability to do the kind of like marketing and public relations planning that I personally would like to see out of a staff person. So I do think that establishing a marketing committee right now could work on honing more of what we want out of a future communications person, is my suggestion. I think that we've kind of sat on that one, and we should push through and do more of that. So that's my suggestion.
Can you
Duly noted.
clarify for me what you mean by a strategic plan for what a because you said a person should be doing in 1 year or 3 years, or if there are missing pieces that we should be looping into what we're doing, I definitely want to make sure that we're covering those.
Yeah, like, I've done this where I've done some, because there's two different things, right? You've got marketing and you've got public relations, okay? And I've done some strategic plans, like public relations plans for nonprofits where, like the Guiding Light is a really good example where I kind of went in and I listened to everybody talk about what they're doing, how they're doing it, where they think the gaps are. And like made a plan, a workable plan for them so that like, what is the next step? For the Guiding Light, it was engaging the media more, I think was one. For the Howard Christensen Nature Center, it was building a volunteer base to actually tackle marketing, because they had folks, right, but not everybody can actually do marketing. And one of the couple of ways that you can do that is by talking to the staff about what they do and how they do it, and talk to them about what they would like to see. And then having some of that information available for a person to come in and have it readily available. Like I said, half time, they're not going to be able to commit as much time to the overall marketing strategies that I think that you would want them to commit. They're going to come in, they're going to work on brochures, they're going to do some write-ups, and then that's going to eat up a lot of their time. And so the strategic piece isn't there. I mean, you can do a strategic plan for literally, any category. I just think that a marketing committee would be great. We could involve Sarah. I'm getting ready to start on the public engagement committee for Elgro. And there's just opportunities to plug in there and kind of do some top-down type work. And I wouldn't delay doing any of that until January. I think we could start it now. So.
And those are, I think those are really good things to hear, and things that, maybe the existing community structure could expand to include some of those things, because I think there's some good ideas. I still feel comfortable with having the HR committee do that for now, but.
I agree with Rick on that. Nothing against what you got to say, because they are good ideas. What you're saying could be ran through the HR. I feel Megan Lee needs to go through the HR so she can kind of do some things on her own, or she can got other people coming in from all directions and talking to staff, and I just think it needs to be honed in so she can do what she needs to do.
But I think there's some are really good
Yeah.
things to bring to our attention.
And
For
they can
sure.
go to the HR thing.
Well, I guess
Both
maybe
got
the,
years of experience in it.
well, I guess maybe the next question is like, when committees are meeting, how do we expand that to include more board members? We had talked about the Open Meetings Act and posting meetings and things like that, and that may be a small thing we can do so that we can open it up to include more, because I'd love to come in and yak your ears off about how I think something could be structured. And then also just getting the person started on where they could go. I mean, you could hire somebody who's regionally not from Ottawa County and maybe isn't as familiar, and then it's going to take them a little bit of, it's going to be a learning curve to get used to what's going on here.
So
Those-
hire another marketing person? Is what you're saying?
I think she was with the communication.
Yeah, with,
Oh.
I'm sorry, with the communications person, that's what I mean, is that it's gonna take them time to get acclimated.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know,
Um,
It's gonna be her assistant, so there's
Yeah.
a ton to learn right there.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a year just for them to understand
Yeah.
the conservation district.
And we wanna kind of stay at a even keel for a while.
I do think they're good ideas. I just
I
don't
ain't
know that it's
saying
the right
bad
timing.
ideas.
Well, I mean, I would
Alright,
say it's a
so-
great timing, but I think we can just continue to have it under HR, because a lot of the things you're saying align with human resources too, and making sure people, are doing the right things for the right jobs, that they're empowered. So I think that's great. I think those are all important things for us to discuss.
I think this is the walking before we're running. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and we're moving towards that. I mean, but yeah, I mean, I think.
So I
I'm-
have a motion on the floor, Doug has seconded.
Discuss it. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion on the floor, you want it read back?
I'm
Two.
good with it.
All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Alrighty, program manager, work.
All right. The communication program, what?
I don't.
We're
know
still
that.
on we're still on our,
It's a little.
Oh,
out of
Isn't
order.
that the next thing in our HR?
sorry.
It's out of order.
I'm going on the committee report, that's what I'm.
So was that,
That was, Lexi's work agreement for her part-time.
Is there something in between communications? Well, we've covered communications. Is there something between marketing and program manager work agreement?
Yeah, there was an additional
training, I think.
2 motions, well, the training was, and it was on here. But there's one other one, that sorry, third motion, I need to number these next time.
Yeah.
Well, we need to get them in the agenda also. So,
They are, they're just not in the right order.
well, she
Yeah.
said she's got 3 of them. I only got 2 more. I got program
Yeah, the
manager and
one-
training. And you said a third one.
The
Annual
one
meeting's
on
the
the-
third one.
Well,
No, no,
that's-
no.
annual meeting is down
No.
here, the next.
There's another one on the committee report that didn't make it over to the agenda. So we can send that till, I mean, it's not urgent.
That
Okay,
is-
program manager work agreement. Can you
Okay,
jump to that one?
yep, we
Sure.
can.
I'm just going off my sheet here, so.
I have
and
nothing
I'm
for you
trying
on
to
program
expedite.
manager work
a-
agreement though, so.
So it's in our packet then, I'll take over it on it. It's in our packet, basically, we've had a chance to look at it. Can I get a motion to accept this Ottawa County
Yes,
Conservation
I-
District Administrative Specialist work agreement?
I make them so moved.
Is there support?
Support.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
right,
Opposed? Training.
All right, training, another thing that Callie had brought up was additional training for Megan, so. HR committee reviewed, the organization that you had recommended. We also, when we were at the MACD meeting, they had recommended SETM membership, which also includes training. So we looked at kind of all of the pros and cons of both organizations and what training was applicable, and the SETM training we felt was
Can you explain what that is?
yeah, so that's the Conservation District Employees of Michigan. So basically, membership for Megan would give her access to all of their training, as well as make her eligible for awards through SETM, give her other employee discounts and benefits, which are all listed in here. I don't have to read them all off. Because ICMA focuses particularly on city and SETM, yeah, focuses on conservation districts specifically. I will make a motion for Megan to become an annual member of SETM and participate in training throughout the year as appropriate, to be covered by the conservation district.
All those in favor, say aye.
I think you have to ask for discussion,
I thought we were discussing.
right? Okay. No, I don't think
Yeah.
anybody has any discussion. I'm just trying to
Okay.
make sure.
Is Megan okay with that?
Well, I mean, we kind of put it as, it's a recommendation. It is not a you must go. So I guess I just assumed
Recommendation.
that it's a recommendation that we make this available to her. And
I think she like, I don't wanna speak for you, Megan, but I think she is, appreciates what Sutton has to offer.
I think it's a really good HR training, so, that's nice, and it also gives me the ability to select individuals in our office for awards, so they can be recognized by the state level, and, that's kind of fun. People love that.
that good with you, Kim?
Now, would this, sorry to, would this be opened up to just you? Or would like the organization be a member and then staff be able to maybe access some of this stuff?
Everyone can be a member, but it's a $25 fee for each individual.
Individual.
Mhm,
Okay, well, that's not unreasonable. So it'd be $25 for you?
mhm.
Oh, that's even cheaper than ICMA. It's probably
Mhm.
$300.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
An organization. Yeah, no, that's perfect.
So I missed is there?
So
okay,
I made a
the-
motion.
The cost to Megan's membership in this is something that we already have, or do we need to bump our membership level up a little bit to get her to this status?
We would have to purchase the membership on her behalf, but it's like $25 for the year.
Oh.
So I'm not even,
And she goes to the MACD meetings, so it's there, right?
All right, so the motion is on the table. It has been discussed, and all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed. All right. Tree sale.
So I wanted to let you all know that our tree sale is open. I got you a catalog and a bunch of order forms. This is one of our largest fundraisers of the year. So talk about us, hand them out, let people know that we're selling trees. We've got some great variety. The website also has the ability for individuals to order online, so you guys can do that as well and focus people towards that or drive people towards the online store if they're interested. I also sent you all invitations for our tree sale wrapping day, so take a look at that day, see if it works for you. It's a Tuesday, yeah.
I got on my calendar, it was,
Tuesday, the
This year.
yeah.
I will definitely try. That time is near exams, and then I have that conference that I'll be speaking at, so.
tricky. I was like, when we
Tuesday, the
did it last
11th.
time, I was only able to do it part of the
11th.
time.
April.
Might be passable.
What if I sign up and I'm out of town?
That's all right. I mean,
We gotta stay.
we'll be all right either way, but,
Maybe can't go. I think it's legit enough.
and then our sale is on there Friday, the 14th, so if you guys wanna come over and
That's
check
gonna
it out.
make Tuesday a
and
long day, cause that's
take
our
some pictures, you know.
meeting day too.
I know, I thought about that too. But there's a lot of great trees and we're already bringing in tons of orders, so we've made more this year at this time than we did last year, so I'm feeling positive.
There was
That's
one,
good.
there was one species you took off. Can you explain that?
Yeah, Austrian.
Austrian pine,
That's
we
what they
had-
planted in Saugatuck, too. They
yeah,
had to uproot them.
they're not considered invasive, but they're really aggressive growers, and so they're not recommended. And we weren't aware of that piece, so once that came to light, we just took them off and. sent them off. Yeah.
You guys don't have hemlock trees?
No, not us.
I was trying to actually figure out, because all the pictures online show like close up, and I'm like, what does the hemlock tree look at like when you're standing on, you know what I mean, and you're looking up
Yeah.
at it? I want to be able to identify hemlocks.
Right?
That's why though we pay you.
They don't grow inland, aren't they? Just kind of along the lake shore.
There's a lot of.
Sandy, yeah, Sandy. for that.
Sandy, yeah, I don't have to say it.
All right, anything else in the tree sale?
No, just information.
Can we? And I guess I didn't see that it was the date of our meeting. Would it move us to do something later in the day so that we all just adjourn back here, grab lunch and do a meeting? Does
It'll be
that
tired and we'll be dirty.
Yeah, you're dirty with it.
Welcome to my world.
You mean after wrapping the trees?
I mean, we're all in this end of town. type of thing? I mean, I'm just throwing it out there that, why don't we talk about that? We got a month.
It wouldn't hurt.
That,
I think we
would that
have-
be, would that be a good thing for people or a bad thing? I mean, would that work with your schedule? Would it not?
Well, we have board meeting time and frequency on the agenda in 2 points, so maybe we can discuss that
So can we
together.
just skip April?
Well, that's,
That's why I would
That's-
suggest we
that's-
just discuss that together.
all right.
Okay.
Annual meeting,
Okay, so this, the. Where is it? Okay, so this is another recommendation from the HR committee that we would have the annual meeting, since we do not have an election this year in March, rather than having the annual meeting in March. That we would do it June 13th and combine it as an 85-year celebration. The staff are actually really excited about this and have been kind of discussing some possibilities already, so I would love to empower them to move forward, and the board can assist by promoting it to our networks, inviting people to the event, etc. So that is, yeah.
They don't need
annual-
our help
annual
planning
meeting.
quite like we did last year.
I asked if they did, but really they just need help with that promotion piece of like inviting people, making sure that we all have our guest lists of who we want to invite and
Sponsors.
that kind of
maybe,
thing. Sponsors, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely we could
Oh,
still reach
yeah.
out to sponsors.
Mhm.
Being a
Um,
first
Okay.
gig for a
But
new
I think we
person.
can just like, especially after having done it last year, like you and I mostly did that independently on our own anyway, as far as just inviting people and getting sponsors. So there's no reason the board can't do that, reach out to our networks and like, but rather than trying to make it a committee that then is like subject to, can only be so many people, like all of us just support the effort.
That
Kind
makes
of
sense.
idea.
what is your motion?
The motion is to host our annual meeting on June 13th, 2023. Rather than in March, and combine it with an 85-year celebration and give the staff the opportunity to all share all the amazing things we're doing.
Is there support?
Support.
Is there any more discussion?
It's a bad time of the year for farmers.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That came up in the HR committee.
That is-
We knew you were gonna say that too.
Huh?
Every time.
No, March is a great time. March is a great time, yeah, but
Could be rainy.
Is it been
Not in the
outdoor event,
field.
or you don't know?
Look
I-
positive, it could be
they-
raining.
Yeah.
Have you checked Hemlock Crossing to see if their dates, I think we're in Hemlock Crossing.
all right, all those in favor of the annual meeting being in June, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting's in June. Board minute time and frequency. We've been doing a lot of talking about this the last 90 days. What is your motion?
I don't think, did we have, we didn't have a motion on the HR
Well,
committee about
You
that.
have a vote, so I'm assuming
Yeah,
there's
but
a
it's
motion.
not under the human resources.
No, it was just
So,
something
Oh,
that
look at
you
you.
It
guys
was
have-
annual meeting and tree sale, but you took it. Okay.
Talk about the tree sale?
I'm just,
Putting words in my mouth over
you
here.
know, didn't have, there were a lot of them coming out of that mouth tonight. You're working it. You're working it, girl.
Hey, we're doing
All
our
right.
job.
Board meeting time and frequency. We have discussed quite often here the last, we've had some bouncing around with weather and family issues and such. We have to meet 7 times a year or 6,
You only have to do 4.
4 times a year. So that's our bare minimum. I guess I'm not suggesting that, but, like the last 90 days, there's been times we did not have to get together. I mean, there just wasn't that much business to be done. With the financial and the human resource committees meeting, we can get the bills paid and that type of thing for the most part. If big fires come up, we can get them put out. So I guess, do we wanna do an every other month? Do we wanna do what is the,
Well, I would like to say I definitely like the 6 PM time better.
Mhm, I
than
agree.
7.
I do too.
I've got littles and it's hard when I don't get home till like 9 o'clock.
I like the
9:30.
other one too.
I would be for every other.
I like every other, but I like the 7 o'clock. And if you wanna get home earlier, keep the meeting short, brief, and don't go gallivanting.
Can we split the difference at
And we can-
6:30?
and- there is no reason why we can't shave sometimes an hour off some of these meetings. Just because of our ramblings.
If we do
So-
it every other month, though, do know that the
It'll be
idea of being
longer.
shorter is not gonna happen.
Correct.
They're
Yeah.
gonna be longer,
But it'll be less frequent.
but it'll be less frequent and
I
not that much
can't, I
longer.
don't, I guess no, I don't think they're gonna be any longer out there. They're not gonna be really any shorter either. I mean, it's gonna be the same meeting.
Okay,
Because we haven't met for what, almost going on 90 days. And we're still an hour and a half and we're
If you wanna look at that, we started an hour earlier.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's only 7.
7:30, that's an hour and a half.
Would have been 8:30 right now,
right, right,
so we ain't done yet.
right.
Now we're close.
So I guess,
Well, Morgan did a short presentation too, so. which is
So
fine.
you did something where, cause this has kind of been a rhythm I've noticed where January, February get skipped.
Mhm.
I mean, and maybe that's the thing is. You know what I'm saying, March, April, May, September, and then skip December, January, February or something like
Mhm.
that. I'm just kind of throwing my ideas out there where it's not every other. It sort of moves with the rhythm of the district. Those are just my
That might
thoughts.
be something to, maybe that is something to think about is select ones, because I know, Megan, it's beneficial for you to have the extra time for all the major reconciliation at the beginning of the year. Nobody wants to do anything in December other than party anyway.
So what do you like? What would you like? You and your team.
I love
we're the
break my
ones that-
birthday, is what I want.
Well, ain't gonna happen.
I mean, I would vote for that too, but I think
Yeah.
I would get outvoted.
But
Every other
otherwise-
what?
I don't think that I think that there is something to be said for, finding the months that I know I'm gonna need you and planning it around that.
Yeah.
But every other is fine. I think we have to base it off September is really what we have to base it on. We have to have a meeting in September. Because that's when I do all the annual like appropriation. So going from that place and moving from there. And I'm in favor of the 6 o'clock.
But we looked at if we did it starting right now, it's been, we're off next month and the following month is our meeting.
Well, I would suggest that we did,
April,
we'd
May,
still
June,
keep
yeah,
March. Skip April, cause that's the tree sale anyway.
Right.
Do May, skip June.
Well, June's
we
our,
have June
June's our
annual.
shindig.
We've also got the whole, right, so we definitely don't wanna double up
And
then.
we don't have to do a meeting in June, just go to the
Um,
thing.
Do July, skip August, do September. What'd you say?
Odd months over even.
Mm,
Ooh,
you
yeah,
need us in July and August.
Did I need you?
Well, I mean, is that a heavy month that you need a lot of? Cause that's, I said, skip the summer months, beer in the winter months. I mean,
Yeah,
we're all,
that.
I mean, that's the smart thing to do. We're all
Yeah.
very active in the summertime and.
As long as we're utilizing our committees, yeah, because one of the things that happens in July and August is all my financial planning. And then, August and September are all of our annual reviews, so as long as we're utilizing the committees well, then yes, I'm fine with that. But I
What
do
about
think
that doing every other though, if we just did March, May, July, September? Because then we're skipping tree sale, we're skipping the meeting, so we aren't doubling up in those months. You have us in September.
I think that's fine.
perhaps we can revisit in September, establishing the meetings for the following year.
Hmm.
Right, cause you have to set those, I believe you have to set those a year in advance, so,
They just
7
have to have like
days,
13
30
days.
30 days
Yeah.
or whatever.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, meet in September and go every other month unless you need us to call a meeting, no big deal.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I kind of.
The only times I could think that I would need.
Hey,
a
you don't wanna
meeting
see us for 6 months?
No.
I mean, we're sitting here in February. When do you wanna meet next?
If I have to do appropriations, that could happen, or if I have to do like, a work agreement, that kind of stuff could happen. But for the most part, those have not been, I can plan those. So for the most part, that hasn't been a huge deal. But I do want to make sure I still have support through the committees, because I don't want to be making decisions on my own and put myself in that vulnerable position. That's not okay with me.
We're not making decisions.
No, but we have conversations and it guides me.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I,
Maybe we're not there making decisions. You want somebody to talk to. That's fine.
I wouldn't be a huge fan of going to less than every other at this point. Like I would say, I think Kelly's idea is good. You know, we go to every other, we still keep March just so that we're on the rhythm that we need to be on.
Mhm.
And then in September, you know,
Touch base on it
or
and see if we like
November,
it.
right, we can reevaluate and
Are you
say,
saying do next month?
I'm saying do next month, but mostly so that we're skipping April and June.
Yeah, we were talking about skipping next month. April.
Cause I don't think any of us wanna go wrap trees all day and then come here and have a meeting in April.
But
And I
we
don't
can take that
What,
back.
I guess what's the problem with that?
Yeah,
mean,
I don't see a problem.
What is the down, I mean, explain to me what the downside is.
Other than being.
You
completely
wash your
wet
hands
and cold
and you
and-
come,
You're eating
maybe, okay,
pizza.
let's sit a little farther apart, so, I mean, I guess I don't understand your
I would
It's
just-
personal
What
issues with
it
that.
is when I have an entire day like that, that I have to cover for transportation for my kids, meals for my
All right.
kids, etc. That is a challenge. It's not about me and my personal workload. I go all day from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. every single day of my life.
Oh,
It's
good,
just
so
how
late
I'm
meetings don't bother
organizing
you.
those tasks of all the people that need things from me during that time. So,
All right, so
That's
when,
another- yes.
when do we meet next?
But what do we got going on for next month? Nothing.
I
right?
mean, we
No?
can skip
Got it all
March and
taken care
April
of.
for all I care. We can meet in May. That's fine too, I suppose.
Yeah, cause right now, we got everything covered for next month. I
Yeah,
can't think of
okay.
one
No,
thing
that's,
from you.
we're gonna meet then in 3 months. You just said, I don't wanna go every other month, so I mean, I ain't fighting you, I'm just saying, you tell me one thing and then you're agreeing to another thing, so I'm very confused, so I want,
Okay,
need to-
I
we need to get
make
it
a
down.
motion, I make a motion that we skip March and April meeting, that in May, we start meeting every other month at 6:30. That's my motion.
Can I amend that to be 6 p.m.? I'm with my. I'm getting old.
Ooh,
How
9
much
o'clock
resistance
creeps
do you
around
guys
and I
have
start to
to
get sleepy.
6:30? Or to 6.
is it a
versus-
problem for anybody other than me, this 6 o'clock meeting?
No,
It's not ideal, but I can make it work.
And we're only talking like 6
Every other month, man. You only have to make it work.
Well, I
every
can use that same excuse, it's only every other month come to the late meeting. What is the difference between your thought and mine?
Cause there's 5 of us and one of you.
haha.
Again, I am trying to
Hey, they
figure out.
wanted like 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm
I
like,
wanna not fall asleep on my steering wheel driving home from work.
It's true. Kelly has the longest drive.
I do.
She is.
Towards the end, we're like.
That's valid. My husband has to
Let's
leave
just
for
do
work
this.
at 9 p.m. So. Okay, fine. It's 6 p.m. So skip, the motion is skip March and April meeting. Have a meeting in May. That will be every other month from May forward at 6 p.m.
May, July, September.
We got
November. Yep. That's my motion. Does anybody else? Are you gonna second that
Second.
motion?
"Don't
Sorry,
get that."
sorry, Ben.
We're good.
He's like, you raised.
There's a time,
Raised.
6.
But, yeah,
all right. Maybe late here and there. so,
Got it, Tim. Yes.
it's
whatever.
okay. That's what you get a vice chair for, right?
Do we support
Tim can start meetings.
I hadn't heard it.
Aye.
Family support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye.
For the record, Ben.
I'm just glad to hear everybody vote. Fine, there's one issue tonight we all vote on. Grants.
I'm gonna
The
use the
short
rest.
skinny of them.
Yeah, so these are our grants that are pending.
Has anybody got any questions on any of these grants that are pending?
No.
Nope.
Any of the questions on the ones that we're preparing?
You're doing an amazing job, Megan. Keep it up. That's my only statement.
I'll throw you a bone. What's your one about it?
Hang on,
Consumers Energy?
I got a question.
All right.
Can we back up?
Anything for you, Tim?
Did I just read an article or where did I see it that, or maybe you just mentioned that it's now in the northern UP?
Not UP.
No,
in
it's
the
Ludington.
northern- yes,
Northern.
Ludington area.
So are we winning or losing?
We're losing.
We had it contained to Silver Lake, now it's what, 20 miles north of Ludington.
But
where
Mason
the
Lake
heat goes.
Conservation District has, formed also they have an HWA team, so they are tackling that
county?
northern extent, Mason Lake Conservation District.
Okay.
We trained them and got them moving and up and running, so they'll continue to tackle that piece, so I think it's gonna,
Where are they located?
Scottville,
Where? Scottville?
Scottville, that's where the district is.
So I can carry them to spring.
maybe
If
if
they're
we
doing for hire, yeah.
yes.
So
I
I
think they
hired
are.
you.
Okay,
So are, I guess, I don't wanna be a Lester, but are we spending our money?
that never bothered you
I
before.
mean, I think there is still, a maintenance piece, and I still think that there is definitely, losing our hemlocks would be, a real. It a real environmental detriment, the shading of the fish, and you're asking the wrong person, so I'm doing my best. But I know that, the environmental pieces would be a devastating piece if we lost our hemlock. So I'm hoping that, we can continue to maintain. But I can definitely have Natalie or Will talk to you a little more on how things are going and how things are going in their state meetings and how those conversations are moving along. But
I know it's the wrong answer, Tim. Put the grants in motion, we're gonna finish out the grant. It ain't like we can take what's left in the
I
grant.
get that, Matt, but you're a farmer, you understand, when
I
the cow is
understand.
down, you stop with the meds, cause she's
Yep.
not getting back
Yep.
up.
Well, I think what's
But
different about
state don't.
HWA too, though,
Ain't giving no-
it's not like Emerald Ash Borer,
Ain't giving no
this is
work.
treatable. So
Good point.
if you are
Yep.
staying up on where HWA is, even if we're losing, I guess, the spread battle,
Okay.
you can still identify trees that have it, regions that have it, and then treat them and keep those trees alive.
Yes.
So I think that's the difference between this and something like Emerald.
That makes a lot.
One
Good
Forever?
point.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of the, if I understand them, and
like a
again, I'm not.
5-10 year treatment.
Yeah, but again, though, like, a lot of these treatments are paid for by the individual landowners.
Right.
Our grant covers things like the identification of that, and we have the people that actually go out and treat it, but a lot of it's fee for service, right? So,
There is some. to be
Well,
said.
May we have an updated. Owned up version of what we're doing with the H2A thing or
I'll
the
have them come in.
hemlock lily doja.
I'll have them come in. That's a good idea.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, what's the Consumers Energy Power Plant Award?
Yeah, so, Consumers Energy offers these Planet Awards. And it was one of the grants that we had discussed in our, exploration meeting. And, we have decided they had a smaller one and a larger one. The smaller one, we didn't have time to write, but this bigger one, had to be around 250,000. We decided to apply for some additional cost share funding for Crockery and Sam to add to the funding that we already have there for, management practices. And Ben is in the process of writing that, so he can give you some more details on what he's included in that grant if you'd like to know.
yeah, the short story is, essentially the letter of intent was due last Friday, for this grant, so we kind of had to look at our capacity and our needs in terms of the watershed programs and what would fit with their overall goals, and they kind of they had it separated between, you could write a project for air quality, water quality, land quality, right? And then they had little stipulations on each of those. What seemed to fit in terms of, the water and land quality, and then also with some of the existing programs we had, so we didn't have to create a new program, was this supplementary funding. So really, what it came down to was we had this crockery sand grant, which you got cover crops through, you got a septic through. We're running out of money already, right? We have so many people participating in this. We have plenty of funding to keep, the technical assistance going and the outreach and the education going and all that. But in terms of actual BMPs, we're gonna be out of money by next year for that. So short story is I wrote a grant for, I wrote the letter of intent for, somewhere in the 200,000-ish range. Just for BMPs, no real overhead. There'll be a small indirect in there, but there's not really any wage money or anything like that, because we already have that covered through our existing 319. So it'll be pretty much entirely VMP funding, which I'm really hoping will look good to them, because the vast majority of that funding that they are awarding to us, if they decide to, will actually be going to the pockets of people instead of 40% of the grant being going to overhead. So
Okay, so my question is, what does that have to do with consumers energy? That's.
it's just an environmental initiative. They're just, you know. giving
Consumers
money
Energy is
to-
pulling out. And they've got, and then the state's after them saying, well, you've got to replace this with millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. To make your exiting West Michigan or Port Sheldon
Where are they going?
getting windmills, and we're all gonna be like Texas, where we can all rely on the wind and the sun to, yeah, exactly. So, by 2030, they said
The
they're
hell
shut-
out of that Port
They're gonna
Sheldon
shut this
location, so.
they say she's gonna be down and get used to
Not
getting
sorry.
your brownouts.
Mm.
Very-
They already, I mean, they did it with Muskegon County 5, 6 years ago, and when they left Muskegon. I mean, it was 400 something million. I mean, it's just crazy what they had to pay to Muskegon County. Unreal.
Developers, you know, agree.
Oh, yeah, they,
Mhm.
but, so yeah, all right,
Right.
well, good, get a piece of the pie. I would just say one thing, and it hit me tonight when we started talking about the tree sale. We need more grants on planting trees, and you'd said something about air quality in this one.
Mhm.
I mean, we sell trees, but we have never really, we're saving trees, we're treating trees. Where have we ever had a project, a program, a push to actually plant trees?
You're
Inflation
touching
Reduction
on
Act.
something there with the air quality
Yeah,
thing.
so-
Yep.
Well, like I say, I mean, but you said you skipped over kind of the air
Well, we
quality, you're
did that
doing
at the
more.
very beginning of our
more other-
existence.
I mean, I planted trees 20 years ago, and that's the most awesome thing I've ever done. I mean, yeah, it took 20 years to fruition. But it's turned into everything that I wanted it to, so, but again, but we've never have a huge amount of. I was contacted this week from a conservation. Sportsman's club that, hey, they're looking for projects, so type of thing. I mean, I've got the scouts planting trees up, with us, so I mean, yeah, it's.
Talk to me. There's a lot of money in the NRCS for that kind of stuff.
Perfect.
You
Okay.
plant on personal property,
No, you gotta be ag land. Forest land counts as ag land though.
Hmm.
But that
There's not a
can't be-
minimum
that's personal
though, is
property.
there, of how many acres?
If it's
or-
private forest land, and they're doing any type of like management of the forest, timber, anything like that.
So this is like
you can buy
replanting.
like
It's
1,000 trees and then you guys will plant them.
Well, we won't plant them, but we'll pay for them.
Gosh.
Oh.
Gotcha.
Alright,
Cool.
and that's under what?
Planting part.
Me?
Like equip.
That's
Okay,
the
equip.
get dirty
Yep.
part, nobody wants to do that.
I've planted enough trees in my time.
All right, executing, so that must be the ones that you have gotten in your. The grants that you're executing, you're in line under executing.
It means that we're filling out all the paperwork to become eligible to receive the funding.
Perfect. Board updates. Everybody's got 2 minutes if they so choose to
You're first.
talk about, I got nothing this week.
Okay.
You're up, Rand.
Oh.
You got anything to say?
Met a lot of, on the HR committee. A whole lot on that committee. And finance committee, but I really have nothing to add.
Kelly,
Any updates?
Two things. One, I'll be starting on the public engagement committee with Elgro. I think that would be an awesome kind of top-down thing. Just throwing it out there. I'd love Sarah to be involved. I kind of have to ask first, but I don't see why they'd say no.
I'm already.
Right now, Ben is already on it.
The public engagement committee?
For Elgin. Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were on
well,
another one.
I attend the public engagement. We don't have somebody on the committee, because there just wasn't a need for that position,
Okay.
but we attend the public engagement, and then I
Cool.
am the chair of the sub-larger.
Right, yeah, I knew about that one. Then also, it occurred to me, I think I'm gonna write my thesis paper on the navigable water rule.
Nice.
I would love to talk to you and maybe Matt and maybe the staff and anybody else you know that would love to complain about the navigable water rules. Rivka, if you don't know, like under the Obama administration, navigable waters included waters that were connected by a nexus, right? So like if you contaminate this little stream over here, it could reasonably connect, right? It could be subject to regulation, which farmers of course hate. And so it's just
They hate worthless regulation.
worthless regulation, here. But yeah, I'd love to get everybody's opinion on that, cause it kind of occurred to me. So yeah, navigable waters, and I'd love to hear you tell me all about what you think about that, so.
David liked my front ditch to be in the navigable water.
This sounds like a really interesting thesis topic.
Well, and I was
I'll
going in a
proofread it
totally
for you.
different
I have
direction. I'm
nothing
like,
about
why
it.
don't I do that? So yeah, no, I'd love to get your guys' opinion on and get that in there. So,
Cool.
yeah. That's all for now.
My only updates are, my friend Mia came to the last Conservation on Tap and connected with Lexi there. She's the head of the PTO at Black River, so I know that, I've gave them each other's email addresses once Lexi was back, so I think that they're planning something. I don't know, I made the introduction and I'm out of it.
I think they're looking at, tree cell volunteers.
Nice. So that's exciting to be able to kind of start getting some of our high schools and schools looped in that way. And then the only other thing is I am planning on going to the MACD State Council up in Gaylord, March 2nd and 3rd. So thankfully that's,
You're not living on-
no, because that's just for state
She's-
council
she's
and
cutting
I,
up, you know.
and like, we
I
don't
heard
pay
you're a new
anything as
poster
a
child.
district.
You're
I know
volunteering.
Jerry likes me. I did meet with him this month actually, and with Dan Mullinan and kind of just asked him a bunch of questions. So if there's anything you ever want me to put in MACD's ear, like, feel free to pass it along.
How positive are they feeling about this funding?
Really positive. Jerry is actually kind of pushing me to switch. Well, he'd love it if I was on every committee, but I'm on the educational committee for MACD right now, and he would really like me to switch to legislative action. Which I feel
Good.
torn about. So if anybody has any opinions for me on that, I can't do all the things all the time. But I'm excited to be able to go to the,
We have huge,
So
huge
MACD
support
meeting,
from our
so-
legislators here in West Michigan.
yeah.
So I would say.
Well, I mean,
waste of
honestly.
Time theoretically. I mean, you're
Honestly,
asking-
that's part of a reason to be on the legislative action committee, because we have the strength of our local reps supporting what I'm doing, which can kind of bend the ear of some of the other people who don't. So, but anyway, that's all I've been busy on.
And I see that the next meeting says March 14th, but that's wrong.
Yeah, it will now be May.
We do
Whatever
have
that
a
date
correspondence
is.
piece though,
Tim, did you get a chance to comment? Didn't? Oh, you
He
didn't.
had no comment and Doug had no comment.
You wanna make sure.
I'll go back and make a comment. I think the tap things are awesome. I mean, I only was able to make
Yeah.
one, I'm out of town, but I think that's a. Honestly, do them every month, every quarter. I mean, that was hugely
momentum.
successful.
Mhm.
Different people other than the normal ones that come to conservation district things, you know, were in the seats and I say charge for them. I mean. That's,
I do
you
too.
know, a nominal fee just, but, you know, that or charge for them and give out a gimmick, you know, so they can.
Matt,
Take a hat home, a shirt home,
Matt
a
said,
logo home that can
t-shirt
go out into
with
the
the
public,
thing.
you know,
Yeah.
that type of thing. You know, and then it gets our bling in our name. You know,
Yeah.
not only can they talk about it, they can, you know, they can wear it, so. I thought it was a win-win for, I mean, I know I've talked to Sarah about, I mean,
Yeah,
great,
it's great.
great program.
I think we should do it in Holland and in other places in the county too.
that's her goal, is that we'll move to different places in the county, so the next set will be in a different location.
Nice.
Correspondence.
Yeah, we had a letter from the National Association of Conservation Districts, or NACD, looking for our support in their, in our membership. We have in the past been a contributor and had $100 membership with the National Association of Conservation Districts. And in large part because we also apply for their funding through this, organization, so we wanted to, show our good faith. We had at our finance committee meeting, I had prepped a check, but I didn't, want to do anything more with it until I made sure you guys were okay to continue our bronze level support of NACD. So I think we need.
We had kind of talked about in our finance committee meeting and said we need to bring it to the board because it's a membership that we belong to.
Mhm.
So I would be looking for a motion to support the $100
Yeah. I'll make a
level,
mo-
just to,
I'll make a
again,
motion.
our grant from them is how much?
58.5,
Yeah, so it's a good wash for $100.
and we will be applying again.
Those in favor of the motion to buy a membership, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay,
Who made that motion, sir? Was that-
Doug made the motion.
Yeah. Kelly seconded.
Alrighty, now I look for one more motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
That's-